Hello and welcome to Real Psychology. Today we are talking about the dangerous illusion of free will. Now, this is a nice, controversial, hot, spicy topic to get the channel started, but I really do believe this. I really do believe that free will is just an illusion. Now, many people have a problem with this idea. Many people will think you're being ridiculous. People will think that you're crazy if you believe this. Honestly, I think it's the other way around. I think you really haven't thought about it much if your conclusion is that you do have free will. So, why don't you have free will? Well, we're about to get into that. But first, let's talk about why is it important to even know. Why is this concept even important? Why do you care if you have free will or not? At the end of this, I'm probably going to tell you that, you should continue as normal. Kind of. There's certain things you're going to want to change. Definitely. And it just so happens that I've actually used this concept in my life very recently. So I used this concept very recently to help me make a very, very big decision. A massive decision. Just a very critical, important, large-scale decision in my life. And I based it on the fact that I don't believe in free will. So, yeah, it's important. I think it's important. I think it's important because you're going to blame people for things they didn't do, in a sense, and you're going to really, I suppose, you're going to put them through suffering that I think is unnecessary. I think you're going to really, I'm going to give you my example in a bit, and you're going to see how it's a big change to my life, and it's based on this idea. It really, if I didn't have this idea, my life would be completely different. I was going to make a decision that would have completely changed my life. So, I think it's very important for two main reasons. Number one, how you treat yourself. So, if you don't believe in this idea of free will, and we'll get into exactly what we mean by free will in a second, because the definition can be a bit hazy. But if you don't believe in this idea of free will, then you're actually nicer to yourself, and you're also nicer to everyone around you. You become, dare I say, here I have it written, a saint. And I know that sounds kind of weird. It won't actually make you a saint, but if you have any hope of ever becoming a saint, this is a good idea to have in your toolkit. So, because it makes you a lot more forgiving. It really makes you able to forgive anyone. And I mean anyone. Think of the most evil, sinister person you can think of. Yes, you could forgive them if you truly believe this idea. Now, even I struggle, and as someone who really does believe this, struggle with kind of implementing it or applying it, because it's not easy to apply. So even if you believe all of the theory and the logic, when someone does some wrong to you, or what you consider to be wrong, it's pretty hard to apply this theory. Now, again, I have successfully applied it, and I did apply it, and it made a big difference. I'm telling you, this is a critical life decision that was made based on this idea. So I hope I was right, because if I wasn't, no, dear God. But anyway, so it will make you a better person in every respect. Will help you feel better about yourself. Okay, so let's talk about first, what do we mean by free will? So the idea of free will as it's presented, when people talk about free will, generally what they mean is the idea that, look, I choose to drink this. Here. Very nice. So, free will says that I could have gone back, if I could go back in time somehow, I could have chosen otherwise. I could have chosen to not drink my decaf coffee here. And maybe that's true. No, it's not. So that's the idea as it's present. When you're talking to someone about free will, that's usually what they mean. Like, it's very hard to define it any other way. So the idea, again, if I choose to go left, I could have gone right. I always had the choice of going right, but I chose to go left. And if you could somehow rewind the clock, I could go right. Now, I've talked to people about this and they're like, oh, but that doesn't make any sense. You can't rewind or you can't... Yeah, but that's because the idea of free will doesn't actually make any sense. Free will is a paradox. So it's like, unfortunately, what you have to do is talk about it in the way I just did. So you have to say, like, look, if you could go back in time and make that decision again, you could choose differently to what you chose the first time. Now, this doesn't make any sense. I know, it doesn't make any sense, but unfortunately, that's our best definition. I can't give you a better definition because there really isn't one. I mean, again, we're going to get into why free will doesn't make any sense and it's an illusion, but I mean, the idea of it not making sense falls in line with what I'm about to tell you. So, yes, the idea as I just described it doesn't make any sense because it doesn't exist. You can't go back, and even if you could, like, well, what would that mean to choose differently? Like, what, if you had a time machine? No, I mean, that's not what people mean. You know, they mean it's almost magically if you could go back. If you had a button that would rewind everything exactly the way it was. Not a time machine, but everything. You just had this button, and it's not magical. We'll say it's a physical button. You discovered it. You found it under your... you just found it right beside you. Please don't press it. Wait. Don't press the button. Please. Wait. I have important stuff to say. It doesn't exist. Don't press the button. Okay. So, you press the button. You go back to exactly before... We go back to exactly before I drank the coffee. I just drank it again. I could choose, given I pressed that button and I went back, to not drink the coffee. And that's assuming everything is the exact same. All the variables are the exact same. There's nothing different. Everything is the exact same. And I still chose differently. That is what people mean in general. Most people, 90% of people, when they talk about free will. So maybe I'll define that one more time in case anyone didn't get it. Because it's very important that we define it. Because otherwise, what are we talking about? So, again, if you could rewind everything exactly the way it was, if you took a left on that road, you could have gone right, even with the exact same conditions. Okay? You could decide right there and then, once you've rewinded, you know what, this time I'm going to go right. And obviously you wouldn't know that you went left last time, but again, so... That's the best definition I have. If that's not a good enough definition, I'm sorry. Just basically, that's the best one you're going to find on the market. And maybe blame free markets for that. Maybe blame me. I don't know. So, anyway, let's get into why it's an illusion. So, what's the proof? So, the proof is if you believe in our good friend causality, and I'll explain what that means in a second, then you do not believe in free will. You just can't. If you believe in causality, you do not also believe in free will. Or at least you think you do. Again, I mean, it's possible to think you believe two things, but two opposing things, and not actually believe them, because you haven't thought about them enough. I mean, and also because humans aren't, they're not super geniuses. So we end up having opposing beliefs, and it's complicated. But again, you can prove with this idea here that free will doesn't make any sense. So, do you believe that causes happen before events? Do you believe that event A happens before B, and then the A causes B? Well, if you believe that, this, as you can see here, I don't even know what these are called, these metal spheres hanging by strings, as I call them, in a row. So these pendulum hanging spheres that are metallic, kind of silvery, not kind of silvery, actually silver, but kind of silvery, kind of bit of black here. So if you believe that this hits off of this ball here, and then that hits into that ball, and then that'll hit into that ball, and there's a set of falling dominoes. Things happen one after another. Okay, that's how it is. So basically, the question is, do you believe in the laws of physics? Because if you do, then you're gonna have a problem with the idea of free will. So if you believe that, and you don't even have to believe that you can work it out necessarily, but you just believe that time doesn't go backwards. Things hit off each other, and that pushes that thing forward, and then that hits off that other thing. But this never goes backwards. Like I never, drink my coffee backwards, unless maybe I'm throwing up, but that still doesn't count. Then you can't believe in free will. So unfortunately, you have to choose, and there's a joke here about choosing that I'm not going to make. But so you don't get, if you believe that things happen one after another, then you don't get free will. And here's why. Because you can always ask, so if I'm like, look, I drank this coffee. Why did I choose to drink that coffee? Well, because I wanted to drink it. I was thirsty. I was thirsty for coffee. Right? Okay, so great. Why was I thirsty for coffee? Well, because, maybe I haven't drank all day. Okay. Why haven't I drank all day? Well, because of this reason. Okay, why that reason? And I'm sure you've played this game before, the why game, where eventually you get to a point where you can't get an answer to the why. I mean, here you don't have to get an answer to the why. If you just rewind back enough and you ask, okay, so why was I thirsty? You get to, oh, my brain is that way. Oh, why? Because of evolution. Why evolution? Because, our solar system and our planets collided, and the temperatures and the amino acids. Okay, but why did that happen? Well, that's because of the Big Bang. Okay, why did the Big Bang happen? Well, because of the initial conditions that we don't know. We actually have no idea, but I wish we knew, and I hope to one day know. But again, so you get back to the Big Bang, and then the question is, did you choose the Big Bang? Did you decide, yeah, I'm talking to you, did you decide the initial conditions of the Big Bang? So if the answer is yes, please click off this video immediately and unsubscribe from my channel. Or actually send me a message. I'd like to know who you are. And I also want to blame you for a lot of things. You're why my life is not so good. But anyway, so did you decide the initial conditions of the Big Bang? Did you decide the initial conditions of the universe? Well, if the answer is no, if you didn't decide it, then I'm sorry, you do not have free will. You just don't. I mean, like, it's a set of dominoes falling one after another. This thing hits off this, and that goes that way, and this goes this way, right? And there's no going backwards, there's no rewinding. It's just stuff hitting off stuff, reacting with stuff, all moving forward, and in a ordered, logical way. In a way that you can work out with equations. So, causes precede events. Causes happen before the events, and that's just that. Like, stuff never goes backwards, unless, you're maybe, like, doing video editing, and then you rewind. That actually does count. You did actually prove free will. You can prove free will exists by getting a video and rewinding it. Yes, this is true. Please don't do that, because that would ruin my entire video. So, stuff never goes backwards. Stuff is hitting off one another, like these spheres here, these metallic, silvery, kind of silvery, but not so silvery string spheres. Okay, they hit off one another, and it all just goes forward in a very mechanical, systematic, logical, ordered, sequential, pattern-like way. There's really no, I don't know how else to put this. Like, if you just ask, if you just ask again, why did I drink my coffee? Well, it's because I was thirsty. Okay, why was I thirsty? Because my brain has neurons that are firing a certain way. Okay, why does my brain have neurons firing a certain way? Because this thing happened before my birth, because my mother gave birth to me. Okay, why did my mother give birth to me? Again, so you can always go back and you can always ask why, and eventually it turns out that you didn't decide whatever caused you to decide whatever you decided. So the thing that caused me to drink coffee, which is the Big Bang happening, I didn't decide that. So if it had have been different, if the Big Bang had have happened differently, I might have not drank this coffee. But it didn't, and I'm going to keep drinking it. Okay, that's enough. I'm getting pretty annoyed. So, yes, the Big Bang, you didn't choose it. You don't, you agree with the laws of physics, I hope. Are there any geniuses here who have some new theories about space-time, or I'd love to see them in the comments, but assuming you don't have some non-causal theories, some metaphysical theories about the universe, then you can't believe in free will. So I choose to drink the coffee, but I didn't choose the things that made me choose to drink the coffee. And that's a key point. Anytime I talk to anyone about this, you're like, but am I not choosing? But you just said I chose, or, yeah, you're choosing, but you didn't choose the thing that made you choose whatever you chose. So then, effectively, functionally, you didn't choose. Okay, so you're still deciding, I'm going to decide to finish this video, but again, the reason I decided to finish the video was not under my control, was not within my beautiful, tiny little hands. Okay, I did not decide the things that made me decide. And that effectively means I didn't choose to drink the coffee. Sorry, so if I keep drinking this for a very long time, it's not my fault. Sorry, blame the Big Bang. Okay, that's enough being annoying. So, someone might interject and they might be like, but randomness. But what about randomness? What if quantum mechanics has randomness? Well, that doesn't actually matter, because again, unless you chose the randomness, like, you had nothing to do with the randomness. So how did you choose anything? So if randomness happens, like if I'm about to drink this, right, and then randomness happens, and then I decide to not drink it, how did I decide to not drink it? Did I decide exactly what the randomness was going to be? Well, no, then it wouldn't be randomness. It would just be me deciding. So, again, randomness does not mean you have free will. It just means you can't predict it. All it means is if you had some equations written down on paper, you wouldn't be able to predict what's going to happen. Again, people tend to think that, because you can't predict it, then you chose it. No, you did not. You absolutely didn't. If I just randomly throw some seeds onto the ground or something, like, did I choose exactly where each one fell or something? Like, it's just like, that's probably not the best analogy, but that's the only one that's coming to mind now. It being random just means you have, in a way, even less control. Like, again, you don't have control either way. I don't actually believe this, but it being random, how would that give you any control? Like, again, I do understand this claim, because I don't know if I believed it before or I was talking to someone who believed it. There was some point about randomness that I can't remember now, that it meant something. No, it's not important. It's not important. I just remembered what it was. It's not important. But anyway, so randomness does not help you. If some random stuff happens along the way when I'm about to drink this, or if I'm not about to drink this coffee and then some random stuff happens in my brain, some electricity, and then I drink it, how did I decide that? That randomness just happened unexpectedly. Just like it did right there. So, randomness does not give you free will, unfortunately. So, yes, you're still choosing, but so, again, don't use this to shirk responsibility. Don't be like, oh, well, I'm not choosing, so I can just, like, lay back and, not do anything. You're still choosing, but it's very nuanced. And again, I know it's complicated. It sounds weird, so, okay, but if I'm not choosing, then why does it matter? Then, again, it's complicated. Yes, you are choosing, but we know definitively, 100%ively, that you do not have free will because of causality. I mean, maybe in the future they'll prove that causality doesn't exist and it doesn't hold true. And I've actually heard someone say this, and I actually hope to talk to this person, as I've heard a scientist or a mathematician say that causality isn't true. Now, I don't believe them or think that they're right, but it sounds pretty cool. Like, the idea of causality not being true sounds pretty cool, but it's for another video. I need to move on. So, anyway, yes, you are choosing, but you didn't choose the things that made you choose that way. So, effectively, you're not choosing. Sorry, not my fault. Blame the Big Bang. So, next. You can never, and here's why it's important. Here's why not realizing that free will is an illusion is important. Because you will not blame people for the things they do. So, what do I mean by that, and am I crazy for saying this? So, should you blame someone for stealing? Well, I think you should punish them. I think you should tell them to not steal, but I don't think you can morally or ethically blame them. I don't think it's their fault that they're stealing. And this is going to get very controversial very quickly. And everyone's going to be like, but you just said you're not choosing, but you just told me to not shirk responsibility. Yes, okay. But unfortunately, that person, while it may seem like they chose to be a bad person, they didn't. And it wouldn't make sense for them to have chosen to be a bad person. Now, again, lots of people are going to disagree with me. No one, but again, do you believe in causality? Do you believe in the laws of physics? Do you believe time only goes forwards? Time isn't rewinding anytime soon. Okay, well then, sorry. That person didn't choose to steal, in a sense. They chose to steal in that moment, but the reason that they stole can be traced back to something that they didn't choose. So effectively, they didn't choose. And again, if the Big Bang happened differently, they might have not stolen. And if the Big Bang had have happened differently, I might be the guy stealing. I'm stealing right now anyway. But I might have been stealing more had the Big Bang been different. So, again, and if the Big Bang had have happened differently, you might have not clicked on this video. Or if the Big Bang had have happened differently, maybe I wouldn't have uploaded this video. Maybe I would have a different name. Maybe, again, so we know no one here, at least the people who are currently here, maybe someone outside this group, but the people watching, I can, say with 95% accuracy that none of you chose the initial conditions of the universe. I'm going to go out on a limb here and, assume and be presumptuous and say that you did not choose how the Big Bang started. Maybe the Big Bang never happened. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. I'm not getting into it. Again, causality. So, if you believe this, then you realize that free will is an illusion, and then you realize that you can't actually blame people. Yes, you should send them to prison, because even if I don't blame them, I don't want them killing other people. Or maybe I do. No, I don't. No, I don't. Send them to prison. You can shame them. That's another way of getting them to change behavior. So, you don't blame them for what... And again, this is... Probably no one's going to get this. There's really no point in me making this video. But, yes, you don't blame them morally. You don't think it's, ethically their fault. Philosophically speaking, you don't blame them. But you still want them to not act in a bad way. You still don't want psychopaths to act like psychopaths and go off killing and murdering and stealing. You don't want bad people to act in a bad way. So, you can tell them to not do that. You can, be like, Hey, that was not good. Stop doing that. Hey, that's the best way. That's the most effective way of stopping people. If you have you ever tried it? Just try it. Go up to someone who's doing something bad and be like, "Hey, you're doing something bad. Stop that." 100% of the time, they will always stop. Trust me. I've tried this. Always works. And you can even do it to yourself. You can just look at yourself in the mirror. Hey, stop being so ugly. Yeah. And then it works, and now I'm not ugly. Well, I mean, it kind of works. Well, that's debatable. But, okay, so enough chit-chat. So, how do you take measures against them? Well, you can send them to prison. You can ground them if you're a child, like you're not going to leave your room. You can tell them that their behavior is unacceptable. But again, morally, ethically, you don't blame them. So, if you had the option, just say, of torturing this person. I know this is the best analogy I can come up with, unfortunately, but say this person did, like, he just killed, like, everyone. He just killed, like, 7 billion or 8 billion people, and he tortured them all to death, right? And he killed children and babies, and he tortured, oh my god, like, the worst stuff you can think of, okay? Worse than, the worst person you can think of. Okay, so now the question is, would you have the right to get back at this person by, like, punching them or torturing them? I would say, and again, this is going to be one of the most controversial things ever, you should stop them, definitely. Please stop him from killing all of humanity, or her, or whatever gender they are. But you cannot blame them morally. So, you torturing that person because they tortured all of humanity is not acceptable. I know, right? Yes, it's going to be controversial. No one's going to agree with me. Okay, fine. Don't agree with me? Bye. See you. I don't blame you. It's not your fault. You didn't choose to click off this video. The Big Bang chose. Okay, so, no, you shouldn't blame them. I know that sounds controversial, but you can't. Again, if you don't believe in causality, if you realize it's all an illusion, then blaming them, then saying that it's actually their fault for what they did is wrong. It's wrong. You can't torture them for what they did. You shouldn't torture them. You really shouldn't. Now, I know there's going to be lots of questions like, oh, but are you choosing to torture them? Oh, good question. Well, no, you're not. So, I wouldn't blame you for torturing them either. So, again, it's a very complicated topic. It's very hard to understand. Why am I not blaming this guy who tortured everyone in all of humanity? Because if you think about it logically, they didn't choose that. Had the Big Bang, the initial conditions been different, you would have been the one torturing all of humanity. And I know that sounds weird. I know that's hard to believe. But again, and I've heard like, oh, but is it really me? I mean, I feel like that's a bad, like, I don't like that point because number one, it makes me look like I'm wrong. But number two, because I think, like, you get what I mean when I say, if you had been born as them. It's just another way of saying, you didn't choose to be you. And you didn't choose, like, whatever it means, like, are you really you? I don't know. But again, one thing I do know is you didn't choose whatever you are and whatever circumstance you're in. You didn't choose your parents, where you were brought up, the time you were born, the brain you have, the what height you are. You didn't choose this. Unfortunately, you didn't. Or maybe fortunately, I don't know. And again, and this even goes for even the best of people, because even the best people, now I'm going to choose to drink water because I have free will and I decide whatever I want to do. There. This proved free will. This proved not having free will. So, even good people didn't choose to be good people. That's right. Even the best of people, even saints, didn't choose to be the saints they are. Whatever reason caused them to be a saint, they didn't choose. Again, you can always go back to the Big Bang or the start or to the event that just happened right before that one and ask yourself, did you choose it? No, you didn't. You can just ask, okay, why did I go right and not left? Or why did I go left and not right? I mean, there's a reason. And when you figure out that reason, you're going to realize that you didn't choose that reason. Or if you chose that reason, you didn't choose the reason behind that reason. So, yes, saints aren't to be credited in a sense. Like, you should still, the same way you imprison bad people and shame them, you should reward good people so that they do more good behavior. But again, you can't really credit them with being a good person in a sense. And again, this is controversial and it doesn't make any sense, but it's true. I'm sorry. And I didn't decide to make this video. It was the Big Bang. It's not my fault. And again, if you stop watching, I don't blame you. I mean, I do, but that's because this is a special exception. Like, if you don't like my videos, then you chose to not like them, and you're a bad person. I'm sorry, there's no other way around it. But anyway, so, you can't blame people for anything. And now I'm going to give you an example, because this video is probably getting very long. I'm going to give you an example of when I used this concept in my life, and how it affected a massive decision of mine. Decision. Okay, so, how did it affect a massive decision? Well, there was someone I knew who was acting, let's say, inappropriately, very inappropriately, and in a very bad way to me. Maybe let's leave it at that. A way so bad that anyone here, and so I know some of you, again, haven't arrived, but I'm gonna speak on their behalf. Anyone here would have stopped being friends with them. You would have just cut it off with this person. Now, I was going to do this, but I didn't. And the reason I'm being patient with this person is because of the reason in this video. It's because I don't believe in free will. I swear to God, that's why. The only reason I haven't cut it off with this person is because I don't think all of the bad things they did are actually their fault. I think, yes, I need to tell them to stop doing them. Yes, I need to help them or get them to change this behavior. I need to do everything I can to stop this behavior, but I can't actually blame them. And even again, so let me just close that off, and then I'll move to another example. So I don't blame them. No, I don't. I don't think they chose their circumstances. I don't think they chose how they were born, their upbringing, their brain, their genetics. I don't think they chose all of these things, and that's why they're acting the way they are. If they had been born as me, they would have been me, and they were gonna be making this video, and they are making this video. It turns out they were born as me, and I am them. Hello, hey guys, I'm his friend. I'm making the video. Turns out I was born as it. Okay, that was the worst joke ever. But anyway, so, hey, hello, it's me again. I'm gonna keep annoying you every 2 seconds. It's not my fault though, free will doesn't exist. Okay, enough bad jokes. So, we need to close up the video. So, they didn't choose the way they're acting. Unfortunately, they didn't. So, I'm going to help them change their behavior and change all the insults they've said towards me and terrible things. In my opinion, awful things, but I don't blame them. It's not their fault, but I still, it's very hard to take this theory, like this video that you're hearing, and apply it, but I did apply it. Now, again, it's been very hard to apply it, to be like, look, they're saying and doing the worst things ever, but I have to not blame them, and I have to try help them change. Now, again, I don't think you have to help. I don't think it's my duty to help them change, but that's just a personal, or try to get them to change their behavior. I could just stop being friends with them. But I've made a personal decision, quote unquote. Yeah, good one. So I made a decision, I've chosen freely to not do this and take a different approach, because I value this person despite the things they've done, and I think there's hope for change. So That's how I've used this in my life, and I'm going to continue using it to affect more decisions. Anyone wrongs me, I try apply this theory and not get too worked up about it, and not be like, oh, they're a bad person. Like, again, like, if we take, and I need to finish this video as fast as possible. So, let me give you a quick example before we close up. Maybe two more examples. One more example. So, say someone starts acting, I start acting really aggressively or something. And I go and I punch someone one day. I post this video and then I go out, I break quarantine and I go punch someone, right? For no reason. I go to court, and then my lawyer, he's like, oh, look, we need to do a sanity check on him. I think that maybe this rapid change in behavior, I don't think real psychology knew what he was doing. I think maybe there's a tumor in his brain that's growing in a specific part of his brain, and it's causing all this aggression. And sure enough, we go and we do an MRI, and it turns out, or whatever they do, that's what I've heard they do. I've never had this check done, I'll have you assured. This didn't actually happen to me. But we go and we do an MRI, and it turns out, oh, look, there is a tumor growing in his brain, and it is causing the behavior. Now, if you present that to a judge, you're going to be like, oh, well, we can't punish him the same way we're going to punish him. Like, there was a tumor, for God's sakes, growing in his brain, and like, how can we blame him for what he did? Like, this aggressive behavior was from that tumor. Okay, great. So there, because you knew the reason behind my aggression, the factors that caused it, were like, oh, we can't blame him. The poor guy had a tumor. Like, any one of us, if we had a tumor grow like he did, we do the exact same thing. So you don't blame me. You're like, oh, then you get the tumor removed, then I go back to normal. You're like, there you go, that's it. We don't blame you. Like, that was a tumor. You didn't control that. Well, that's basically the idea in this video. There's really, if you will, a tumor, metaphorically speaking, always behind every decision you're making. It's just, if you look close enough, there's always some reason that caused you to act that way that you didn't choose. Just like the tumor, there's always something that you didn't choose behind whatever happened. Maybe this way, maybe that way, maybe this way. Okay, that you didn't choose. So effectively, you're not choosing. You choose, but you don't choose. I'm sorry, just really, it's very hard to explain. So yes, again, you're choosing, but you didn't decide whatever happened, the events that happened behind that choice. So why did you choose that way? Well, because they said that to me. Well, why did they say that to you? Because I said this to them. Well, why did you say that to them? Well, because of this reason. And again, because the Big Bang. Because the laws of physics. Because. Just because. So, I mean, yeah, I think I'll leave it there because the video's probably gotten very long. I'll just do a quick recap. Recap and closing words. And there's a person in prison there. I don't know why I chose that picture, but I did. But I said, no, it's a good picture. It's a good picture. Okay, so. Or did I choose that picture? Good question. So, free will is an illusion. You can't believe in both causality and free will. Sorry, just again, if we go back to the spherical things that I don't know, the shiny spheres, they hit off one another. Time doesn't go backwards. Things push into one another. This affects this. This hits off this. That goes and hits off that. Like falling dominoes. Things never go backwards. Randomness doesn't matter. But you're still choosing. But you don't choose the things that caused you to choose that way. So therefore, you're not choosing. I get it. It's a complicated topic. I don't expect you to understand it from one video. But I'm doing the best I can. And if I'm not doing the best I can, it's not my fault. Because I didn't choose the Big Bang. So stop commenting mean, nasty things. Leave me alone. It wasn't my fault. God damn it, now I'm being a hypocrite. Now I'm blaming you for commenting even though it's not your fault that you commented. Fine, I don't blame you. Okay, let's finish up. Whoa, okay. You are still choosing. Don't shirk responsibility because of this video. Please, go do your laundry. Please, don't punch people in the face and blame the Big Bang. Or blame me, even worse. Okay? Leave me alone. Thank you. I have a tumor in my brain. Yes. Leave me alone. You can't blame people, only punish them or try to change your behavior. By all means, try stop bad behavior when you see it. But again, to blame them philosophically, ethically, morally, whoa, you can't. I'm sorry. It's just, and again, and I'm sorry that I'm sorry, and it's not my fault. I'm sorry, and I don't blame you for not being sorry that I'm sorry, and I'm sorry. I'm going to have to end the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that was coherent. I hope that made sense. I hope I'm not going to get a lot of heat for this. I probably will. It's a very controversial and very complicated topic. But, again, please try stop your local murderers. I'm not saying leave them alone. When I say blame, I just mean in a philosophical sense. By all means, punish them, send them to prison, spank your local murderers, by all means. Okay, but, yeah, I think we'll leave it there. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you liked the video, hit the like button if you liked it. Also subscribe, hit the notification bell. We have new videos almost every week, or multiple times a week even. And that's all thanks to the Big Bang. So, thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next time.